So welcome to WTF Stories and Advice. Crazy fucking advice and crazy stories. And my lovely co-host
is now aware that you did change the name. You talked about that last week.
Change the name to what?
Welcome to What the Fuck Stories, Advice and Crazy Advice and Stories and shit. What you just said.
Welcome to WTAF Stories and fucking crazy advice.
Well, I hear it's fucking crazy this week.
Yes. You have not read this one. Had to read this one as soon as I got it. This is a doozy.
If you send us a doozy, you get to skip the queue.
You do. So for all you out there who have real doozies, send stuff like this and we will read them right away.
Excellent.
All right. Yes. Have you introduced yourself, Daryl Gove?
I'm Daryl. I'm Daryl Gove. I am a hypnotherapist and I teach with Caroline at the Integrative Hypnotherapy Institute, where we basically know everything or imagine that we do and what that would be like and share everything with our students.
Yes. Yes. We're quite honest, aren't we? It's like a class and a show, isn't it?
There was a bit of laughter last night. One of the girls, her audio wasn't working, so I started mouthing words and pretending to speak.
Oh, no, you're mean.
Yeah. And everybody was cracking up. It was fun.
It's good to laugh. I think when you laugh as you learn, I think it goes in better, don't you think? And you're more engaged. I know for me, if I'm cracking up, I will remember that content really well.
You're right. It's the positive association. It's the endorphins. But just, I can't stop thinking about you saying, if you laugh, it goes in better.
I don't know if that is true in the context that you are referring to, Daryl.
I don't know, but for some reason, that phrase makes me think of my friend Joe, a girl Joe. And I don't know why.
No, I should make it harder to go in. But anyways, if we're talking about information, then yes, it's easier. Okay. So we have a letter that I just had to read straight away. You ready, Daryl?
Ready.
Have you got your brown shorts on? Because you're going to need it for this one.
No, damn it. Because I just came back from a dog walk. So I have ugly as yoga pants on.
Well, that should be fine.
Okay, good.
Okay, here we go. Hey, Caroline and Daryl. You want crazy? I have got crazy. This happened a long time ago, back in my late teens. I knew a friend, who was 19, and one of the best looking guys I'd ever met. He was like an Abercrombie and Finch model. He was a nice, good-natured, but slightly dumb guy, so you couldn't help but like him. We'll call him Ted because that was his name. Ted had a beautiful but also ditzy girlfriend who was 17 and still in high school. They had been together for around 2 years. His girlfriend lived with her mom, dad, and brother, who was a couple years older than her and going to college. I had met them and hung out at their house a few times, so I knew them, and they were really nice people.
He slept with her brother, didn't he?
Hang on, just wait.
Just like Karen.
Just wait. So you can deduce by this they were the same age.
Yeah, a couple years older, 19, same class. They did something.
Ted was at her house practically every night. He would hang out with her and her family and watch TV for the evening. Then the parents and brothers would go to bed, and Ted and his girlfriend would hang out for a while longer, usually having sex in the bathroom or on the living room floor. They had quite a normal teenage sex life.
To have sex on the living room floor in her parents' house when they could come down at any moment. Okay.
That's not that abnormal to me. Anyways, I've heard that that's what teenagers can do. Her dad was a national sales manager for a big computer company, so he spent a lot of time traveling for work. When he was back, he worked part-time from home. Sometimes Ted's girlfriend would be tired and go to bed shortly after her mom, and her dad would be working on his computer in the dining room. Ted would hang out on the couch watching TV. So here's where it gets weird. Ted was into computers, and so he and the dad would look at new games and stuff on the latest computer work had given him. So one night, Ted drops something on the floor, plugging something in, and when he comes up on his knees, he can tell that his girlfriend's dad has a massive hard-on. The dad pulls his sweats down and asks if he likes that. Most of us would... Just wait. Most of us would bail at this point, right? Nope. Ted starts sucking his dick, and after they finish each other off, he goes home. So this becomes a regular thing every month or so. He stays past the girlfriend and the mom going to bed, and him and the dad suck each other off. Any response to that, Daryl?
Now you're pausing. Oh, well, look, I think that was quite bold, but that sounds like a normal teenage existence, isn't it? Go around your girlfriend's house and suck off their dad. Yep.
But wait, it gets better. Him and the girlfriend eventually move in together. One night, he's dropping something off to his girlfriend's mom, and the dad's away. The mom is just in a robe and starts putting the moves on him. He takes her to the bathroom, bends her over the counter, and rails her.
Okay, how do we know? Hold on. I mean, this is also very fascinating that happens, but how do we know that she's just not making all this up about her friend Ted because she's angry with him? I fancied this guy. He was with someone else. So he sucked off her dad and then fucked her mom. And I'm not at all jealous.
This is a guy who's writing this.
Ted's friend's a guy.
Ted's friend's a guy who's writing this.
Maybe he's also jealous, but okay, carry on.
Hang on. Well, okay, right. And rails her. They start doing this when they can, when the dad's away and he can come over without the girlfriend. I was raised by lesbian moms and have a gay brother, so I'm very accepting of people's sexuality, which is why Ted felt like he could confide in me. Okay, but we're not done.
Okay, but that...
So this is a friend. Yeah, this was his friend. Yeah.
You know, this is something that happens all the time, and I find it really uncomfortable, is people go, Daryl, you're gay, and then they'll just tell me the most sordid parts of their life and just be like, you're gay, you don't judge. And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, I do. I might not tell you I'm judging you, but everybody judges all the time, right? It's whether we do it out loud is the point. But people think if you're gay, they have a free pass to tell you all of the stuff that they're up to. Maybe I should share some more of that in here, but carry on.
All my life, people have always told me their deepest, darkest secrets, which I think is part of why I became a therapist, because I was like, I might as well get paid for this shit. Sometimes people do tell you stuff that you're like, wow, but it's been a long time since I've actually been surprised by anything.
Now it wouldn't be a surprise, but this was more like as a young teen, and I was, fairly innocent by standards.
Okay, but we're not done. Ted and his girlfriend start hitting some rough patches. So he's over at the house talking to her brother, who I really liked. He was a cool guy and fun to hang out with. I never really liked his sister too much. She seemed quite dumb, and was talking to him about what was going on with the problems in his relationship. And yep, they fucked.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's sucking the dad, he's fucking the mom, and now he's fucking the brother.
Well, it's like when you get a good hairdresser and you're like, tell your family, you gotta go and see this guy. Like he is a really good haircut. He's gonna look after your color. He's not gonna damage your hair. And this family are all like, oh, have you met Ted?
He will fuck you just right. So now at this point, you'll be going, okay, this is clearly the most fucked up family on the planet. And you just know they're all fucking each other. That house has got to be a hotbed of incest. Nope. When it all finally blew up, and it did in a big way, the girlfriend suspected he was cheating on her with a coworker. So she got him drunk and gave him Valium, apparently a very effective truth serum. I guess she wasn't as stupid as I thought. And it turned out the only one that knew about any of the others was Ted, the guy who had been having sex with every member of the family.
But also potentially lethal. You don't meant to mix alcohol and Valium, right?
No, you definitely should not do that to people. I didn't know about it being a truth serum. I know it definitely can wipe your memory. So don't take that as advice at all, because the problem is people also can vomit, and then they can choke on their vomit and die. They can breathe it in, or they can have a massive seizure in their sleep and they can die. So don't ever, ever, ever do that. That is terrible advice. But obviously, you can do that with just getting people drunk. I find the best trick is to pretend like you already know. Pretend like you've already been told the information. You know it already. Yes, get people when they are slightly tipsy to catch them unaware, but pretend that you know the information, and then they tend to spill the beans. That's how I've always gotten it out of people.
It really works. There's a neuro-linguistic programming, NLP pattern, and it goes, I know what you're thinking, and what you're thinking is right. So you pretend that you already know, and then you agree with them. So it's like, I know what you're thinking. And before they question that, before they go, well, hang on, do you know? I know, but you're right. and how you feel is the right way to feel, and people start to feel validated and they think you're on their side, and so then they start talking. It's so good.
Yep. Okay. I moved overseas right around the time it blew up, so I never talked to any of them again. When you're around long enough, you see some pretty crazy shit. I definitely have some other insane stories, but damn, I thought you guys would enjoy this one. No one ever believes me when I tell it, but I swear it's true.
I mean, it's a good story if it's true. I don't believe him. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's told the truth, and I suppose, why would he bother to write in otherwise? But if that's true, that is crazy, and that's very bold. And I want to be disgusted and think that's horrible, but part of me is like, good on you, Ted. You've done well.
I'd love to know where Ted is now.
Ted, if you're listening to this, write in. We want to know if it's true. And if you continued, did you move on to a 5-person family next, or did you go for the grandparents? What was your next move from this? But why? You got to also think, like, if it's true, it's really creepy, because it's one thing to sleep with more than one person, but to actively sleep with the people in the family. I know someone that just befriends somebody, right? And then what she'll do is she'll befriend their family member and start hanging out with them, and then befriend the next family member and just start hanging out with them. And she's done this through a series of family members, and she's a nice person, but it's really creepy and weird. Now, imagine that, but sex. Like, somebody's sleeping away. Okay, now I'm going to sleep with them. Okay, now I've ticked off the mum on the bingo. What do you call it? Bingo in America, where somebody calls the numbers and you have to.
Yeah, that's bingo.
Yeah.
Wasn't on their bingo card.
I've got the mom, I've got the dad, and okay, family dog. Done.
No! Oh! It's funny, I had to call my insurance company up a few weeks ago to change some insurance things. And I started chatting to the woman, and they have to ask you all these questions, right? Have you been arrested in the past 5 years? And blah, blah, blah. They ask you all these legal questions.
You're like, who hasn't?
And I was just chatting away to her, and I said, you must hear some crazy stories. And she was like, you have no idea. She said, obviously there's like people who call up who will say, oh, yes, I have. And it's for bestiality. And she said she had some guy calling up and saying, and he's like, oh, but that was 17 years ago. And she's like, well, you didn't need to tell me that, did you? So obviously you're getting off. And he was like, yes, I am. She was just crying. He's like, I'm old, so I don't really care. But these people really upset the younger ones. She was hilarious. But there's some people that do just like to shock. My parents used to have a B&B in wine country in California. And my mother would always get these crazy phone calls of people calling up. And this one guy used to call up and he'd be like, I'd like a room for me and my mother. And we only need one bed because we like to sleep together. And she'd be like, that's nice. And he's like, are you bothered by the fact that I sleep with my mother? And she's like, I really don't care. Do you want a room or not? I had to think about it. And she's like, oh, call someone else. Okay, bye. He was like, it was obvious that he was just calling to shock people. But anyways. Well, thanks for that story. Yeah, that's definitely crazy.
Thanks, Ted's friend.
Yeah. So I saw the final of The Idol.
Yes.
And I was wrong. It was my theory. Kinda wrong. Like, she did start acting a bit psycho, but the ending was just such bullshit. Like, I'm not going to say what it is, but
you're just giving me more reasons not to watch it.
No, don't even bother. Like, honestly, I'm just like, seriously, you should have gone full crazy with the woman, get revenge on the guy. Like, come on.
See, if you're listening to this right now, then what you have just gained is like 6 hours of free time in your life that Caroline has saved you because she's watched The Idol for you so that you don't have to. So you never have to waste that time.
Yeah.
So thank you, Caroline. Thank you.
I'm just like, what was the point of all of it? And I think that director who filmed most of it and then like bounced, obviously, because she was like, you guys are fucking psychos, probably. It just is disturbing for everyone involved, except I will say that Lily Rose Depp is amazing. She is an amazing actress. She is an
Mhm.
amazing singer and performer. She is incredible. And I think that girl is going to go very far in life.
Is she Johnny Depp's daughter?
Yes.
Ah.
Johnny Depp. And you look at her and you go, oh my God, she looks so much like Johnny Depp. It's amazing. But then she also, her mother is Vanessa Paradis. I know I'm probably saying that name completely wrong, who is a French singer. And I think she was an actress,
Okay.
and she is stunning as well. And so you look at both parents, and she is a perfect blend. She got the best of her parents' features, and she's incredible. And there's some real talent on there's some very talented singers and performers. I will give it that. The art direction is incredible, but yeah, I was let down. I wanted like the female psycho lead to
So
like
you just need to write that. You need to write that.
I would
You need
love
to
to write a TV show. I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to write novels, but yeah, disappointed. And then there was one other. Have you heard this story? I don't have the details in front of me, but how this boy who went here, man,
Oh,
disappeared. Have you heard
yes.
this? He disappeared at 18, went missing, and then he just turned up. They found him like unconscious in front of a church or something. And then it
8
turns
years
out
later?
8 years later, and it turns out his mother had kept him captive for all that time and was drugging him and sexually abusing him.
Yeah, apparently after 2 days he came home and his mother hid him and said, "You're gonna go to jail for running away for 2 days, so you better hide." And so she kept him captive, gave him psychedelics, and made him sleep with her and be like, "You gotta play daddy," or whatever it is. And yeah, sexually assaulted him for what, 8 years.
Wow. I remember hearing the story of that, like how this guy had gone missing in 8 years. And I was like, something is not right with that story. It's just weird for an 18-year-old, and obviously very possible human trafficking and all of that. So there's a movie that's just come out. Is it The Sound of Freedom? Is that the name of it? I
With
haven't
that
seen it.
hot Jesus guy in it,
The Hot Jesus. Jim
Calvazal or something.
something. I do want to see it. I've been very aware of the guy who the movie is based on, which is Tim Ballard, who he's got some organization, Operation People, or some organization that really helps people with human trafficking. And not only has he and I think he's ex CIA or FBI, and then realized how huge the problem is. And they've not only saved all these kids, but they've actually adopted like 4 or 5 of these children that they've saved from these different operations, which is just amazing, really. Like, put your money where your mouth is by actually taking these kids in. But it's something really does need to be exposed. And if it's surpassing the drug trade and the arms trade and all of this, because you can sell a human over and over and over. And what do they ask? I mean, how many kids, like 85,000 kids have gone missing in the US just like in the past year that Homeland Security doesn't know what's happened to them, of immigrant children? How do you lose 85,000 children? Like what?
I don't know, but I've reading about some true life stories where there's been human trafficking. It's actually quite easy for them to do it if certain people turn a blind eye. And this is one of the problems I've got with today is because there have been missteps, and I don't want to downplay it, but let's say there's been massive missteps by the police or different government agencies. What happens is people don't want to fund them, but the less police you've got, the less money that goes into paying quality police, training police, getting good people to be policemen, or all of these agencies, then my worry is that the more criminals and gangs take control and do whatever they want. So I look at New Zealand, for example, and just the massive amount of crime that we could not have imagined 5 years ago. It was inconceivable, the crimes that are happening here and how much of it there is. Although New Zealand's always had much more crime than people think. Because
Exactly.
when we used to sell travel insurance, New Zealand was like number one on the place where people make claims. It was like as high as Thailand. But however, I think there's just been such an underinvestment worldwide, or certainly in USA, certainly in New Zealand, in what we need to keep us safe, which I think is whoever these agencies are that are meant to be looking into these fucking missing children. Like, where are you? What are you doing? And can we have more of you, please?
Well, I think the problem is that a lot of them, the corruption is going on from the inside. That they estimate that 10% of men have a sexual attraction to children, that's a horrifying stat just within itself. But that's the problem with the police and child services and all these different organizations that are supposed to keep children safe, is that a lot of these people will be attracted to those fields of work, and then they get involved, and then they can help feed the machine. But just in my own experience as a therapist in New Zealand, I cannot believe the level of corruption and how many people go to the police to report stuff. And then they'll report that they're being abused by someone who might be affiliated in a gang. And they'll walk out of the police station and they'll get an immediate phone call from the person who's been abusing them saying, I know what you just did. They've just called me. Nothing's going to be done and you can't get away from me. That has happened multiple times with multiple different people in multiple police stations in New Zealand. And it is horrifying. And the other thing is, like in New Zealand, I don't know about the rest of the world, but they only report 25% of violent crime to the media. So like you said, there's all these claims, there's things happening, but they only report what they have to, that there's witnesses to. And I think people should know what the hell is going on.
There we go. Yeah, I don't trust the media. And you can see why people lose trust in the police. And what we want is people to be attracted to it because it's a good career.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they get paid well and they can do a good job and help people. And I don't know how accurate the statistics that you have are and how true it is that people are attracted to it for that reason, but it makes sense because this is one thing that I like to do is like profile careers. People say don't generalize, but I think we should because I think it's helpful. What kind of person is a hairdresser, for example? So if you're a hairdresser, Caroline's former hairdresser, she's heard me say this. Well, it's maybe somebody that likes to talk or to listen, or somebody that likes to have a bit of control, a bit of power over you. Think about it. They're standing above you. They've got these scissors and like, you better not fucking do the wrong thing or they can snip your face off. And so what kind of person would be a doctor? Well, it's not your caring, loving person that wants to be kind and help people. It can be, but more generally, it's the people that are top of the class, highest grades, doing really well. And maybe they've got a caring side. And then what kind of people are attracted to the police in New Zealand? Well, maybe people who've been bullied, people who have suffered, people who want justice, people who want to bully the bullies, and people who want to
What's wrong with that?
Become a bully.
What's wrong with bullying bullies, Daryl? I don't see any problem with that at all. I know, and I'm a hairdresser. And I used to say to people, I don't think you should say that to someone with a sharp instrument next to your face.
Did you used to say that when you're a hairdresser?
I used to, never women. I was sweet as sugar to women. And then men, well, you'll get those men. And I worked in like San Francisco financial district. We'd get a lot of men coming in trying to swing their dicks around. And I would just put them in their place. Or it was more that they would come in with the most horrific haircuts you have ever seen. And I was really trying to help them, or hairy ears or long eyebrows. And they'd say they wanted their terrible comb over or their Caesar cut that made them look like a complete dweeb. And I'd be like, oh, do you not like your dick sucked? They'd be like, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, I can do that haircut. So you're asexual. You don't like to get laid. I'm assuming that's why you want that haircut. They'd just be like, what? What are you saying? And they would always find it hilarious. And I gave very, very good head, as in shampoos. And blowjobs and blow dries. No, I worked with this French woman who trained me, Sylvette. She was hilarious. And she had me give her a shampoo one day. And she was like, oh, you call that a shampoo? I will show you a shampoo. And she's like, darling, this is how you give head. And she like literally put her tits in my face and fucking massaged my brain. And I was like drooling on myself. And she's like, that is how you give good head, Caroline. And I was like, I learn, I listen, you are my master. What do I need to know?
It's a very good skill to have. And it, when I was like 22, I used to go to this hairdresser outside of the mall, and I was totally in love with the hairdresser. He was just beautiful, like perfect looking, soft and kind, and would always chat. And he would just massage my head for ages. In hindsight, for probably way longer than you needed to.
Yeah.
And I just remember just being in paradise for those times, totally in love with him. And it wasn't until I had a bloody boyfriend that he was like, "Oh, by the way, actually, I am gay and I like you too." I was like, "Damn it!" I didn't do anything. I was like, "You're too late."
Yeah.
Never went back to that hairdresser.
Well, I would have guys come in and just get shampoos on their lunch break. I would just lean over them and rub their heads. And yeah, but I got a lot of clients. And then it was funny because then they would bring a friend along to watch while they got their hair cut because I would abuse them. Not the shampoo part. I hope, well, actually, I'm like, but
Caroline, did you know that you were engaging in some kind of soft porn stripping?
Hey, I was the highest pay hairdresser in that salon. I was making so much money as like a 21-year-old, 22-year-old. And it wasn't soft porn. Thank you very much. I was fully dressed.
You're lucky nobody had a camera phone.
Oh, yeah, that would have been trouble.
For that.
But I would just like then abuse them in front of their friends and in a joking way. "Oh, you don't like to get laid," this type of stuff. And then shave their ears and trim their eyebrows and shave their back.
Okay, so you wonder why you have clients calling you up today who want to be humiliated.
I don't have clients wanting to be humiliated. What are you talking about? Oh, maybe I do. I'm like,
yes, you do.
Well,
I mean, you think they just got a problem, but they want humiliation. Like with your mum when they phoned up the motel, it's like he wanted someone to tell him off and say, "Oh, you're so disgusting. That's gross. No, you can't sleep here." And yeah, these guys, they're like, "Go and see Caroline, get your hair done. She'll humiliate you." "Oh, yes, I'm so bad, Caroline. Yes, tell me how asexual I am."
What is the deal with the whole humiliation kick? I don't get it at all. But now there's that whole financial humiliation where guys like just to be like humiliated and abused by women and they'll pay money for it. It's like financial dominance, they call it. If I had known about that at that age, oh no, the poor men would have just not had a chance. So,
no, I haven't heard of that. But if you were like about to tell me that there's men that will humiliate you by buying you everything, I'd be like, why didn't I know about these men? Buy me anything you want. Oh, I'm so humiliated. You had to pay for dinner again? Oh, no.
No. You humiliate them. You're like, "You little pig. You can't afford anything. Give me $500 now." And they're like, "Yes, ma'am." And they will. It's a whole like.
Really?
Yeah, I think they call it fine dom or fine. Yeah, it's financial domination. And they're like, "You're my little money pig. You give it up, you squealing little pig." And they're like, wait, here's my money. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you should definitely do that for a side job.
No, because I'd be like, "Oh, did your mama not breastfeed you? What happened?" Not that not being breastfed has anything to do with that. That's just a bad joke I learned from my mother. I don't know. It's a bit weird, isn't it? So on that note, you have anything else to say?
No. No, I don't have anything else to say except for give us 5 stars. Enroll if you want to learn hypnotherapy or neuro-linguistic programming.
Or financial domination. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Our website is, we have a few. Mind Body Health, hypnotherapy.com or nzhypnotherapy.co.nz. All the links are in the podcast notes. So all the links of how to get a hold of us. But if you want to do some classes on how the subconscious mind works, and we're not this crazy in class. We're a little bit crazy, but this is our outlet for our real crazy to come out.
But if you want to know how to use your subconscious mind to get whatever you want in life, how to use it to help people get whatever they want, or if you want to see us one-on-one, and especially if you want to cut down on drinking, then check out Wind Down. It is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. wtfstoriesandadvice@gmail.com. Bye.
Call us. Bye.
Aside from my soul.